guys, your girl Karina here, and happy blessed Tuesday. I know for a fact it's a gloomy, rainy day here in Toronto, but regardless of that, we have to be able to embrace what we've got from God and to just make the best out of it, regardless of it being in our favor, like the weather or not, you know. And really be the sunshine of Christ. Be the sunshine of Christ. Don't let anything get to you, really, because God is able. Christ is bigger than all of our problems and our everything. So really, that's why I like just take this time during this pandemic situation to just flourish and to bear fruit as much as you can for Christ, because really every moment is a chance. So don't waste it. Really, don't waste it. Whoa, I love how the sun just started shining. Thank you. Yes, God is able. See, that's what I'm saying. Like, when it comes to really like anything about God, it's all about sunshine, positivity, strength, guidance, firmness, trust, patience, all the virtues. God is able. So can you. You know, so that's why we have to constantly seek out for God's grace, for God's power, for God's guidance, in the power of Jesus Christ, the Holy Spirit, Blessed Mother Mary, Saint Joseph, all the angels and the archangels and saints. You know, because really we're human, right? You know very well that we are human, right? And with that in mind, we can't do it alone. No matter how much we're just like, oh, I don't need anybody, I can do it on my own. Really? No. We all have our ups and downs in our lives, so therefore we constantly need that intercession of the Holy Spirit to constantly keep us boosted with energy and with power within us, so that we will keep on doing what we are called to do, and to not give up, and to not allow the enemy to lurk within our shoulders and just be like, hello, care to join me? Like, no, like, don't even join. Don't even let it get to your mind, or else it will affect your journey closer and closer to Christ. That's just the way it is. It's a spiritual battle. It's a spiritual battle out there, anywhere, even in church. There's a spiritual battle, because there's nowhere in this world that we are safe from the enemy. It's a fact. A solid fact that there's nowhere in this world where we are safe from the enemy. Because really the enemy lurks in our minds and our hearts and our souls. So that's why we constantly have to reach out to God and be like, I need you. I need your power. I need your strength. I need your love, your mercy, because I'm a sinner. I'm not perfect, but through you, through your graces, I can become the best that I can be. That's it. And exercise that full humility in the eyes of God and in the eyes of Christ, so that you will become the best of the best of the best in the eyes of God. So with that said, I hope you've been well. My prayers will continually go out to you and your family. And really, I know it's physical distancing during this time especially, and it's very important for us to keep on persevering and keep on persevering for patience, that increase of that virtue of patience, especially when you just feel so, what's that word? Like you just want to do something that your heart desires for God, and you're being led to do it through God, and it's deeply embedded in your heart from God. But now is the time to persevere through that waiting. Through that waiting when God's like, hey, now is the right time. Now is the perfect time, you know? And essentially now this economy opening up slowly, the more reason you can see God's showing us that the time is coming. So with that said, let's get started. I want to talk to you guys about being patient as you seek perfection for Christ. Being patient as you seek perfection for Christ. probably like, whoa. Well, I wouldn't know, but I don't know who's watching this. But really, as I always love to talk about, patience, perfection ties with it so seemingly. Because, as you see perfection for Christ, it comes with the virtue of patience. To grow and to have that development of character, to have that spiritual development and that spiritual advancement closer and closer to Christ. I know it sounds so easy, but really, as I said yesterday in my yesterday's talk, which I highly recommend you go check out, really, it's acknowledging it and recognizing that will of God, right? And the end result, which is the kingdom of God, and God allowing you to enter his wonderful goodness, divine goodness of happiness and eternal bliss, right? But it's what happens here, that development, that pruning, that purification. That's where the fun part is. Really. Because I say fun part because you see that transformation over the course of time within yourself, spiritually, and also in your character and how you view things. Your perspective on things becomes so transformed, and the way you react to things as how you did before, it all goes through that transformation process. That's why I call it the fun part, because you just see the progression of how you evolve into someone better in the eyes of Christ. And it's very important that we take that to consideration and not to look at it in the perspective that that's the hard part. I mean, yes, it's a challenge, but it's that challenge for growth. It's not the challenge for discouragement, but it's the challenge for growth. And that's why God permits that in our lives, so that we will be able to grow more and more and more. And you know that very well. That's why I always change that mindset that when God permits challenges, trials, and tribulations in your life, that is Christ seeking you out to become more perfected in God's eyes. It's not something that God's just, oh, I'm lazy. Okay, let's just put some stuff there. No, that's not how God works. Really, with God, he always sees the best potential within each and every one of us. Therefore, that's why it's very important that we constantly think that when we have a challenge and a trial and tribulation plopped into our lives very unexpectedly, it's his time. We have to constantly remember and condition our minds that it's God's time and not our time. Because a lot of the time, it's that impatience that causes us to become discouraged, because due to the fact that we want it now. You know how when you search on Google, you get instant answers just like that? That's not how it works with God. With God, it's all according to his time and his will and his plan, his divine will and plan. And that's why, when you constantly remind yourself that every single day when you wake up, it really allows you to have that sense of peace within your heart, that no matter what you're enduring right now, no matter what desires that God has planted in your heart to pursue and to pray for so fervently every single day, and for you to wait for that special moment that God will reveal that perfect answer for you, it's important that we allow ourselves to have that inner peace within our heart, so that we will not keep on contradicting our character all the time, thinking why is this not happening? No, why? If no. Because the more you trust in God, the more you have confidence in God, the more inner peace you will have. Because really, God will not forsake us. God will not abandon us. He will not leave us in a ditch. Right? So that's why he is allowing us to undergo that time of waiting, so that we will be able to grow in virtue and allow that spiritual character development and that advancement during that course of time. So always remember that. Really add on to that. Whoa, I love how the sun just peaks right after rain. Thank you. I need that. Anyways, as I was saying, To add on to what I was saying earlier, though, there will be times that we will quietly not fall, right? You will have that progression of growth, and you will have a lot of consolations from God. But there are times when you will endure those desolations as well too. Those times when you will actually fall continuously. But the good part is that you get up stronger. You get up stronger, you learn from those lessons, and you allow yourself to not let that happen again. Therefore, running to confession right away is an ultimate blessing that we as a Christian Catholic are blessed with, because it allows you to detoxify everything that you've done. All the things that you've done, all the sins you've committed against God and that displease God, right? Because again, like, the more you go to confession, the more you exercise that full act of humility in the eyes of God, and so that you will keep on progressing closer and closer to Christ. I know confession can be a little scary for some people, because it's just, they're very, I wouldn't say as a whole, but it's just like they're afraid to face what they've done in the past, right? And so that's why we have to acknowledge, recognize, and allow ourselves to face what we were like in the past, so that we will be able to eradicate that from our souls while we still have the chance on earth. Because once God calls us back home, that chance is gone. You don't have that chance anymore. And whatever you've done will be presented in the eyes of God, and that's it. God will do the judging from there. So that's why, take this time, take this opportunity to face your mortification here on earth. Not when you're in your last hour, not when you're in your last dying breath, but now. You have to constantly contemplate that and constantly cross-examine yourself, self-examine yourself, and just think about like the things that will constantly pull you down, and allowing yourself to clean that out of your system. Spiritually is what I mean, not like physically, right? So that you're maximizing that chance that God gave you, right? So that's why when you have that phase of continued falling, you rise up for Christ stronger than ever. No fail. You know, because when you acknowledge and you face how you were before, you allow yourself to squish all of that. Because really, it's that acknowledgement that's so important. Because a lot of us, we tend to just be in self-denial. It's like, oh, I wasn't like that before. But really deep down, you know very well that you were like that before. Maybe the sense of pride was really eating you up a lot. Right? So that's why you have to acknowledge it and allow yourself to face it, so that you will be able to do something about it, and not to just keep on putting aside, procrastinating. Oh, it's okay, I'll do it tomorrow. Oh, it's okay, I'll do it the next week. You don't know if there's a next week. You don't know if there's a tomorrow. Okay, not to go dark, but really, you just have to really accept that. That's why I would say John Fisher, I believe that's what it was, yeah. Literally, he had a skull on his desk. And he always contemplated on death all the time. Because he wanted to be prepared. He wanted to be ready. Right? St. John Fisher. I briefly heard about that from the homily from Cardinal Thomas Collins. I'm talking about it yesterday, since it's St. John Fisher's feast day yesterday, as well as St. Thomas More. So that's why. I'm not saying literally get a skull and put on your desk, but I'm just saying you have to contemplate on death so that you'll be ready. You'll be ready for God's call back home. As we really contemplate within ourselves and looking within ourselves, having that self-examination of ourselves, we have to endure that suffer with patience in that delay of our perfection while being cheerful in doing what we can to have that spiritual advancement. You know, so really, like, through patience and through that suffering of patience, suffering with patience especially, like, in that delay of being perfect in the eyes of Christ, you have to be cheerful. You have to have the right mentality. You have to have the right attitude. You can't just be like, oh, no, waiting. It's so boring. No. Not happening. No. Nearly. Because that will lead to self-destruction of impatience. It will lead you to immerse yourself in the midst of that world out there, you know. And then you will find pleasures, God knows what those are, and you're just going to be living a lost soul. You don't want that. You don't want to find empty happiness in immersing yourself in this world by chasing for things that are so endless, that are so pointless, and are so useless because they will perish. Everything in this world will perish, except for the love and mercy and grace of God. That's what we always have to remember in our hearts all the time. So that's why, like, we must attain the perfection. We must attain the perfection by acquiring the virtues needed to fully be the definition of what perfection is in the eyes of Christ. Really, it's something that we constantly have to journey with Christ, with God, our Blessed Mother Mary, Saint Joseph, all the angels and archangels, because it's something that, when it comes to perfection, only God knows what that is for each and every one of us. We wouldn't know. We would know in some degree through trying to really get that nitty-gritty of our virtues within ourselves. But only God knows at the end of the day what is if you actually meet that criteria of what perfection is. Because again, I have no right to judge. Only God does. Because He is the Almighty. He's the Almighty Father. He's the ultimate. He's the divine. So, therefore, we have no right to judge our brothers and sisters and the people around us at all. That's God's job, not ours. So, really, when you judge someone else, God will judge you according to how you judged your brother and sister. So it is. So that's why we have to constantly use every day as a chance to attain that perfection by acquiring our virtues. By looking within ourselves, what virtues need to be improved on? What virtues are our strengths and which ones need to be worked on in a hardcore manner? You know, so that we will become better and better, and it's attaining that perfection in the eyes of Christ through being patient, you know, because we have to be content waiting. We have to be content waiting and being patient in that time of waiting. Whether we attain the results of perfection of our aim sooner or later. Therefore, we have to leave it in the divine providence of God. We have to leave it in the divine providence of God. It's something that we constantly have to contemplate every day. It's something that we have to take upon ourselves, acknowledging that we are not perfect. We are a sinner. We have our imperfections. We have our strengths, of course, but, you know, knowing the fact that we are able to accomplish so much great things through the grace of God, through the power of God, through the guidance of God, through the knowledge and wisdom of God. Really, through the knowledge and wisdom of God, we are able to accomplish great things. We are able to accomplish so much in each and every one of our lives. But it's important that through the virtues is what actually gives us that power and strength within ourselves the most to present to God, okay, I've attained all the virtues to seek that perfection in your eyes. I have acknowledged the fact that I've done everything I could, doing my duty for Christ, you know, and we have to be content knowing that we're doing our duty for Christ every day. We have to be content. We can't be complaining whatever opportunity God places in your life to seek that perfection, to attain that perfection in the hands of Christ. Because really, it's our character at times that hold us back from becoming more perfected, more refined in the hands of Christ. Because it's that character within ourselves that has that sense of pride. That, oh no, I don't want to do it. I'm too tired. No, I don't want to do it. They're not worth my time. Who gives you the right to actually think in your heart, in your mind, that they're not worth your time? God has allowed you to encounter that person in your life for a meaning, for a purpose, for that person to grow closer to Christ, and for you to actually attain that perfection in the hands of Christ through that little opportunity. Right? Like, so therefore, what I'm saying is that when you go about your day-to-day life, now that this, you know, things are slowly picking up and you have your daily routine, when there's like a little, like, let's just say like God allows you to bump into someone that you know through his divine providence and guidance, take that opportunity. You know, see how that person's doing. Or if God allows you to encounter a random person, of course, yes, exercise that precaution because you don't want to be harmed in any way. I'm just saying, reflect Christ from your heart through kindness, through grace. Through your wonderful personality to that person. You know, because really, like, God places opportunities in our lives and we don't even know it at times. You don't even know it until when you think back, you're like, oh, my bad. No, yeah. So that's why the more you allow yourself to look at your life through the eyes of Christ, you see things differently. You allow yourself to immerse yourself in the ways that God would want you to do it, and immersing yourself in the ways that Christ would want you to do it. Because really, we have to have that full reliance on the providence of God with no reservation or exception. No reservation or exception. Because that sense of pride, thinking that you can rely on yourself, is one straight one straight recipe to self-destruction, because you will constantly keep chasing after the worldly matters that will completely be useless at the end of the day. And when you pass from this life and God calls you home, it will lead to nowhere. Empty happiness. So that's why the more we rely ourselves in the hands of God, the more we rely ourselves in the providence of God, with no exception, no reservation, it gives God that full unconditional yes from deep within our heart, sincerely. And it allows us to have the opportunity to grow from a little mustard seed into a huge shrub. Right? And allowing ourselves to flourish and to bear fruit for Christ in every single moment we have. Don't forget that. Don't forget. To really close off, though, I want you guys to firmly and deeply remember this, that having more of that firm reliance in the divine providence of God, with no reservation or exception, is very important. Stand firm on what great things God has in store for you. Stand firm on your full trust and your reliance in God's divine providence and God's infinite goodness. Stand firm on being truthful to what Christ would want you to do. Stand firm on being hopeful for God, because in this world around us, it is very easy for us to become discouraged and to become doubtful in God's ways because of all the chaos that surrounds us. So therefore, stand firm on your trust, your hope, your love for God, and all that reliance in God's divine mercy and greatness and divine providence. I know it's so easy to say, but it's one thing to say it, but it's another thing to actually do it. So therefore, constantly remind yourself every day when you wake up and begin a new day that I will rely on you, God, more and more. I will have that inner peace more when I place my full reliance of trust in your hands. I will rely on you more because I place in my hands this desire I have in my heart to do, but I'm waiting for that perfect time to do that, in which you want me to pursue in my life to glorify your name. You know, it's so beautiful to have that inner peace in your heart because of that reliance on God's divine providence more. Because it allows yourself to know that the best is yet to come. The best is yet to come. That best perfect timing has yet to come. So, there you have it. Really just allow yourself to immerse yourself in God's mercy, love, and grace. And from that point on, you will flourish more than you could ever imagine. And you will maximize your life more and more than you did before. The time is now. The time is now. The time is not tomorrow. The time is now. So really, the fact that you have another day to live is another day to embrace God's moment of now and to attain that perfection in the eyes of Christ through being patient. So there you have it. So really, when God is putting something so fervently in your heart right now to pray for every day and to pursue very much in your life, don't be discouraged when you're in that time of waiting. Remember, as I always love to say, that time of waiting is a time of preparation for you and for the wonderful answer and the timing. Because God's timing is so impeccable, so perfect, that exceeds our own human comprehension and our human standards. So, you can do it. Stay strong, stay firm, stay firmly rooted, and stay deeply rooted in God's love, grace, and mercy. And I pray that you will stay strong, and I pray that you will not lose hope and lose courage. And as I always love saying in all my videos, don't be afraid to be true warriors of Christ.